Hello everyone! I'm Sophia Hilton.
I'm Norman Boulton.
We're here to talk about mental health. I only did that for you because I know you like those intros.
Oh, I love them. Hey guys.
So we're supposed to be on the Crazy Colour page, but good old Instagram problems means that we're not. So
Technical, it's live TV, folks,
it's
you know.
live. So we're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about my journey, Norman's journey, and then we're going to be Oh, my husband, hello.
Aww.
We're going to be filling you with loads of our top tips of how to prepare yourself for this December coming up. We've got a few ex-employees on there as well, which is lovely. Hi. So, you wanted me to start with my journey, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, gosh, here we go.
I know.
1 second, and I'm double filming as well, so let me just double check that this camera is good. Hang on.
Hey team. Hello from Hull. Hey Hull.
Hello. Okay, so we've got December coming up. We are all starting to, think about that Christmas rush. For some of you, you might be a little bit more gappier than usual, so actually there might be a better pace,
Yes.
which count our blessings sometimes. The world gives with one and takes with another. But for those of you that are expecting like that really big rush, I just want to talk through some of my journey and how I've dealt with my mental health wavering. So Aaron's on there as well. Thank you so much.
Full house tonight,
So
isn't
full
it?
house.
Bonsoir.
So, oh God, I don't know what you would classify yourself. I would classify myself as someone that has mental health issues. Even saying that out loud is like, I try not to be like embarrassed by that, and I'm not. I try to be open about it, but I don't think I ever like made a reel on it or anything. I just started like dropping it into conversation casually, and I think it's taken a while. I think this is the first time ever that I've actually been able to sort of say that, like live to people. Journey, when did it start? Well, I put a lot of pressure on myself, I've always got big targets and big goals. I put myself under the fire constantly. And that means that, sometimes I burn out, basically. Someone explained it to us. Do you remember when we did mental health training? You were here for that one, mental health first aid. Mm-hmm. They were explaining that it's like a bucket, and when your bucket is already quite full, even when you just had that tiny little bit of extra poured on, you kind of, you explode. My first time that I noticed that I even had mental health issues, you have to get closer to me, babe, was, I don't think you were there that day, which is so bizarre because you're always in the academy at that time. But it was in the academy. I was just about to do a course. In fact, I was in the middle of a course and I was talking, and as I was talking, I was absolutely fine and and like honestly, teaching is not something that makes me really nervous anymore. It's like I'm just on it. I'm on it, and then all of a sudden, I got complete hot sweats. My whole body was completely like burning up. My face was burning up, and I thought. Can I be really honest?
Yeah, I was there for sure.
Were you there?
Yeah, when you ran into the toilet.
When I ran into the toilet?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were there.
Of course, we had to help you.
Honestly, that point, I thought I just had a bit of a weekender.
Yeah.
And I did say to everyone, I'm really sorry I'm ill, but at the back of my mind it was like, did you just go a bit hard on Saturday? And is this what this is? And I ran into the toilet, and Harriet ran after me, and Harriet had never taught the course before, and she said, what do you want me to do? And I said, I need you to teach this course. And I just had to, in the toilet, while the students were outside, I had to teach Harriet how to teach the course. Okay, do this slide, da. And what's really annoying is the toilet's here, and the course is there, and like outside is there, so I didn't have the confidence to walk past everybody. Anyway, what happened after that was the next weekend, I didn't go out. I had a very healthy weekend, and it happened again. Not as bad. I managed to handle it a bit better. And then the next week, it happened again. And I started to recognise that, don't get me wrong, we'll talk about going out. It's not good, is it?
No, it's not.
It's definitely not good.
Like your body just said no.
My body was saying no. And then the other time that when I definitely knew, oh wait, this is panic attacks, is because I accidentally sent the editor of the Cosmopolitan's magazine, I sent her hair green. And
it's a fun one, isn't it?
And the moment my body was burning up, I was like, oh wow, it's a panic attack. So
I've had moments like this.
Have you?
Yeah, when it's just like...
You never told me that.
Yeah, when it's like you just feel like you're frozen, right?
Yeah. So how does that feel to you?
It feels very consuming. For me, it's almost like this ringing in your ear, but I've never considered it a panic attack before. I just thought that was more anxiety.
Yeah, but what I've been learning more about panic attacks, especially for me, is that the symptoms aren't always the same. So that, for me, really, felt like a panic attack in the way it took over my whole body. But since then, I've experienced different ways around it. Like there was a time, I think you were there, we were doing some Train the Trainer with Chris Moody, and I was presenting in front of you lot, which should be super chill for me. I was presenting, and all of a sudden, as I was talking, my eyes blacked out completely. And then I told you lot. And Chris Moody was like, yeah, that's not normal. Like, you probably need to get some help.
Yeah.
So anyway, what have we done? I want to just talk about, like, what have I done to help that? Well, we're big advocates on therapy.
Yes. I think we talk about seeing a therapist multiple times a day.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to talk about later, but, like, normalising that sort of stuff. So therapy, 100% is something that I've done. I've slowed my workload down. And that is a massive part of it. I work 4 days a week now. But I think what we will talk about a little bit more is when do we need to hustle because we want to get to the goal or because we need to. Maybe some of you need to, keep your salons alive right now or, there's extra bills to pay. Sometimes we need to dig in deep and hustle. And other times we need to know when to give ourselves a break. And I think that's what I've been working on in the last few years is how necessary is this thing in front of me to my end goal or what's important to me, and how unnecessary it is. And that's what I've been trying to work on. And I think you've been doing that really, really well.
I love that. I think it's such a good open conversation.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will be a little bit surprised about how open and how vulnerable that you are being. But you are a human. You're a soul with a human experience, so well done. That's amazing.
But yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second because I want to hear Norman's story as well. But we're going to go through like all those sort of tips that like have pulled us through our darker times and what has been difficult. I think the statistics are that it's 1 in 4 have mental health issues, which means if you don't already have it, guaranteed someone that does. So even if this isn't you, even listening to this is going to help you with your friends and family. So you've been on an insane journey, Norman.
Yeah, my journey's very different to Sophia's story. I would say that mine started off as like this bit of a train wreck that actually turned into a bit more of a self-discovery story. I first qualified here when I was like 21, I think. And I just started making money for the first time, which was fun. And I remember that I just completely overdone it. I was really working myself full time, and then I was starting to party, and I was just really getting into the habit of just having no sleep, no rest, coming into work, putting on that customer service face, and never really having any time for myself.
Yeah, but it was a very hard time in the salon at that time because we were like way more successful than we ever thought we were going to be. It was mega busy. Double booked round, clients waiting outside. We had random little pull-out chairs that we used to put everywhere for all these like extra clients. It was mad.
It was mad, and then having to come in from a bender and then having to pretend that you're fine and you're sweating and you've got anxiety and you have to put on this like friendly customer service face being triple booked and trying to build a column and a career for yourself. It's just undoable, and it eventually led to this huge mental breakdown, this screaming match that I had with myself. And I thought, well, you know what, the best thing that I could do for myself right now is to move to Australia, and the best thing that I can do to solve this problem is to move 24 hours away, because obviously that's going to solve it, right?
Yeah.
And then I packed up my life and I literally flew to the other side of the world. I had about 8 leaving parties.
I've still got the card on my desk of like saying big goodbyes.
And I really thought for me this was going to be it, and this was going to be the moment that I sort my life out, 22-year-old me. And then I got to Melbourne and I just had an even bigger meltdown in the middle of the street actually, because I thought by going away all your problems are going to just melt away, but actually they followed me all there. So what I done was I decided after a month of being there that I was going to come home and I was going to start the journey of sorting my life out, and I totally did. And the first thing that I done when I come back with the savings that I still had was see a therapist. And I'm 3.5 years into doing that with the same therapist every single week, and it has been totally life-changing for me, and it's given me such a new a new perspective on life, actually, and hearing just a professional's opinion every single week. Like, what I said to my friend the other day was, I refuse to overthink things really now. Even though I definitely do, but I refuse to torture myself because I know that I'm going to have my professional's opinion in about 5 days' time.
So you'll wait for their opinion?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to hear your opinion, I'm going to wait for her
I see what she says, because I'm not going to wind myself up over it. Like, you know, when you think, oh, this has happened, and you go over and over and over it again, I just wait until I see my therapist.
We had the same therapist for a while as well.
Matching therapist.
But we were also trying to work out whether she knew, like, she didn't know that we knew each other, and obviously our stories must cross over.
A little bit, yeah.
So sometimes, so I'm like, do you think she
I think
knows?
she plays it a little bit dumb, you know, but yeah.
Do you know what I like about your story in Australia is that, you know, they say, you know, travelling or moving abroad changes your life, but it did change your life.
Oh,
that's what
for
you normally
sure.
say. That week,
Yeah.
That 2 weeks. Because that's
4,
what you needed.
3.5,
3.5, I'm sorry. Because that's what you needed. At the
Yeah,
time.
for sure. Like, my life was a mess before I went, and I thought that I had it all in control. And then I came back and I actually sorted my shit out, saw a therapist, faced my real darkest, deepest days, and started to turn some light on them. So that's my number one advice, is to see a therapist.
The one thing I was going to pick up on that actually, because I think like we've gone through our growth journeys at the same time.
Yeah, we have.
So, you know what I mean? Like self-improving, becoming a better version of yourself, recognising your own bad behaviours, creating boundaries of what you expect for yourself. Like we've kind of done all of this. I'm going to answer your question in just a second.
Can I just mention that
Yeah,
we don't actually have the answers, you know? Like, we are just sharing tips, and we're no angels either, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do slip up, and we do go back to those bad, like, previous destructive behaviours, I would say, but it's more just about learning how to recognise them, so you don't make the same mistakes in the future. I'm never going to run myself down to that place again. You know, I'm never going to go back to 22-year-old me who never, ever took a night off.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't serve me anymore, but I'm glad I know that now. Thank God. Thank God I learned that the hard way.
I think my thing as well is becoming less, what's the word? Like, stuck up about how people do their healing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I used to be, he'll know this, like,
Yes.
but I used to be very much like, if it was too airy-fairy or too alternative, I'd be like, oh, that bollocks, you know? And I would say that a lot. And then I basically hit rock bottom and tried everything, and now I don't judge it so heavily.
Yeah.
So I think if anyone's listening and they are leaders, one thing I do is I don't judge how people do stuff. Like, I'm not into horoscopes. I personally, I'm going to say, don't believe in them. See, normally I would have just gone absolute bollocks. But I allow people the space to talk about the way in which they want to do their healing or their self-work or that sort of stuff. Whereas, like me a few years ago, I would have just been like, I mean, Norman likes getting, like, poisoned by a frog, don't you, babes?
I prefer some more plant alternatives, yes.
Yes, you do.
It sounds like to me, Sophia, you've had a healing in the solar plexus, which is responsible for your confidence, so...
See, if I'd have heard that a few years ago, I would have poo-pooed it really fast. But I don't do that anymore, because at the end of the day,
works for me.
Whatever route he took to get here, I like this version of him.
Yeah, me too. I much prefer it.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to have a look and see if there are any questions. I have ADHD, so I'm all in or out. I'd love to find a happy medium. Thanks for sharing your stories. Oh, you're welcome, my love. I'm very close to the camera. Can I ask how you found your therapist and what they come under for someone who wants to find someone doesn't know where to start? That's a good one. Well, I found one of my therapists through you. But yeah, how did you find yours, Norman?
I typed in Therapy London and I got linked to this random website. The actual therapist that I use is a website called Talkology.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in Zara shopping, and then she gave me a call and she said, hey, you want to start some therapy? And there I am, like, spilling my heart out over my Australia travel store in the middle of Zara. And then that was it. And now it was in person in an office. It's like called the House of Psychotherapy, which is fun, ringing that doorbell every Monday. But now it's on Zoom. So I'm sure if you can just Google. And also what I want to mention as well, which thankfully, touch wood, I don't know how I've had this experience. I've only ever had one therapist. But every client who I've had a conversation with has mentioned, oh, really, you've only ever had one, because I found my clients in particular have shared that they have had to go through many to find it. And even just having that one therapist who you don't bond with, I've heard people saying, oh, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's the worst. It's like, it takes you ages to find a hairdresser. It can take you ages to find a dentist. And the idea that people go, oh no, I tried therapy, it didn't work.
And I've only been like once or 3 times, or only had the one person.
Yeah, it's like just someone going and, I don't know, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's
you
really
have to vibe with their energy, so...
we have Sarah that says, as a therapist, it makes her very happy to hear that we're talking about it, which is amazing. So, what we thought we'd do now, just in case there's any other questions, by the way, you are welcome to pop these in. So what we thought we'd do is go over, like, some of the things that have really helped us from, like, a boss perspective and a team member perspective of how we got better in the salon, and hopefully that's going to help you. And Gemma said, I love you guys, so honest.
Do you know, I'm loving this chat, actually. It's so nice. Yeah, what bonding moment.
And we're really close.
We're kind of just...
like, physically close.
In our energy fields.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that you want to talk about is, like, communication with your boss, leader, stuff like that.
So about when Sophia was in Ibiza, this must have been in May, I must have had about 4 extra jobs going on, and plus on top of a full-time job as well. And I was really struggling. I had so much to do, so much extra work that I had signed up for, that I just felt like I couldn't really keep on top of it, and it was really starting to get to me, actually. And obviously you get to the point where it all just starts bubbling up, and I just sent Sophia this big message like, hey, I need some help. Like, I'm really not doing well with all this amount of workload that I've signed up for. Can I talk to you, because I feel like I might need to drop something? And then...
The thing that you're saying to me, what I'm hearing and picking up is, this is everything that I've got on, I'm really overwhelmed, what's the priority? Like, and this is really key. And all of the people that work for me get really good at saying this. Because I am a typical entrepreneur, what I've understood, ADHD, like, I'm a go, more, pour it in person. I think... one, I have to get better at not doing that with my employees, 100%. But secondly, it's really helpful when that person, because a lot of you work for people exactly like me, because it's people like me that run businesses.
Can I just say, Sophia, it's fucking scary telling your boss as well, when you have asked for the extra credit, which is going to get you the better reputation, and it's going to get you the career and this and that, and to actually say, hey, I know I've signed up for X, Y and Z, but I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, and actually me messaging you, that was like a kind of moment, but we resolved it in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And we went through and we said, okay, what's going on, X, Y, Z, what's the closest deadline, what's the priority for that? Okay, can you do it on this day off, or can you do it in this moment here? Yeah. And we went through the whole scheduling, and I felt so much more organised after that call, and I really did feel like I could manage it, and I did.
Yeah, I'm glad you've taken it on, because a lot of people in my back of house now, that they will... Well, I've asked them as well to if they feel like I'm pouring on too much, because usually I'm getting quite excited and we've got loads of projects going on and stuff. You know, I ask them to put their boundary in, because I can never quite work out how busy someone really is, because I'm not in your shoes. Like, I don't know how hectic you were. We don't see every second of your life.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to gauge how busy you really are. So the responsibility on the individual, and I wish I'd done this myself when I was an employee, is to make the people above you that are giving you the jobs aware of how busy you are, or working priorities.
People aren't mind readers.
Yeah, that's what you said before, isn't it?
Yeah, people are not mind readers. So I think suck it up and
have those conversations.
Talk about how you're feeling, because at the end of the day, I think if I didn't, then I would have just melted under it. So I'm glad that we had that chat.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
What else have we got? About our check-ins.
Yeah. I'd love you to talk about it, but I'll just introduce it. We have a smaller team than we ever have before, and I'm probably not looking to grow my team as big as it used to be, because I like this salon being a little bit smaller. But we do something now that I probably couldn't do a while ago when we had a massive team, which is we do check-ins every Tuesday. Now, what's a check-in? While I read these questions.
Yeah, sure.
Go on.
A check-in is what we do at the start of every single Tuesday meeting, and we just go around the room and we just say, hey, how you doing? Now, this can... whoever you ask, it can be anything that they want to share. So it could be, what usually it is, oh, my weekend was really good, I done this and I done that. It doesn't have to be work related either. It can literally be whatever you got up to. This is your opportunity to share whatever you feel like. But what has been really helpful before in the past is when we are having our check-in, and let's just say you aren't having your best moment, you are feeling a bit down, or you are having a bad mental health day / week / month, then it's nice to have the opportunity to share with your team. If you're comfortable with, you can do whatever you like and say however you feel, but sometimes even just opening up and having that opportunity to say, hey, I'm not doing so good at the minute. It shares it with the team how you're feeling. And what have you got to say?
Well, just the practical bits of it. It goes like this. Tuesday morning, we all sit down.
Yeah.
We've been forgetting it recently, but we usually choose a little piece of music, don't we? You like to choose it usually. And that means that when we finish the meeting, we put the music on and we like dance out of it to get the vibe. And this is the person for vibe, aren't you?
Always.
But yeah, it goes like this. Sit down. Hey, darling. So who wants to start the check-in? And we just go around the room and I'll say, Bladen, how you doing? So this morning, Bladen was like, to be honest with you, I'm a bit sick, I'm a bit under the weather. We all kind of gave him some empathy, went around them a little bit further. Sometimes people are like, I don't want to talk today. And we're like, yeah, cool. And we move on. Again, that's something that I would have probably taken personally in the past, i.e., why is that staff member not being a team player? Why are they putting so much bad energy into this room? Why, when I'm trying so hard to make everything so nice, why are they bringing this moment down? My interpretation of their actions is not like that anymore. And when you allow people to have those down moments and really express it, as long as they're not doing it with clients, I think it ends up being just a shorter period as opposed to a longer period. You can perpetuate that situation by not allowing people to, or just pushing people into something they don't want to do. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, it's nice to have the opportunity to share if you're not really feeling it, you know, and you're not doing your best, because then let's just say that you are keeping yourself to yourself, or you are being a little bit more of a quieter day, and you're not really feeling that sociable or talking to your colleagues, and you just want to have some time to yourself. It really does set the tone, and it lets people know how you're doing.
I think the first time someone in the group was like, I don't want to talk, I think it was a little bit like everyone was like, oh, okay. And then that started to be normalised.
Well, it stops people going, you okay? You alright?
Yeah,
you sure
all
you're
day.
okay?
Yeah.
You sure you're okay? You're really not like seeming like yourself, really. What's going on? Yeah, fuck off. Yeah. So I think if you want to, you really don't have to say, by the way, I'm having a bad day. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But it can make your life a lot easier by just saying, I'm not having a good day today.
Yeah.
Rather than it stops that whole pity party.
Yeah. I mean, even a staff member just, I won't say when, but just in the last few weeks, someone had actually said, actually, I've been feeling really anxious this month. And I've never heard them use that term in the meeting before.
Yeah.
So it really put it on the radar for me. And even though I probably won't talk to them about it necessarily, I'm going to keep my eyes out now. So anyway, yeah, check-ins have been game-changing for our company. And if any of you go, oh, but we're all really good at talking to each other anyway, it's not the same. It's not the same. No. It's really, really not. Let me see. What else have we got? Someone says, have we seen the conversation in mental health change in the time that we've sort of been in the industry? I think so. I
think that mental health, because it's got mental at the start of it, it's just like a bit of a harsh word. And mental health didn't really exist, did it, around, 15, 20 years ago? Well, certainly before my time as well. So yeah, I think it's totally changed, and we as a salon have really changed our language around it as well.
Language is a big one. Like we ban certain words, we watch how we sort of speak to each other in that way. Well, Norman's banned the word hate just because he doesn't think it has good energy, and I'll just say it out loud.
Well, do you know what? Hate is do you know what? I just want to clear this up live. Hate is the opposite of love, and if you speak it into existence, love is the energy that I choose to attract. So I don't ban the word hate. I just go, every time someone says it, I'm like, oh, strong word. You sure you want to use that word? It's just my preference.
Absolutely. What else can we talk about? Anything else that you feel like you want to know?
I got one from yesterday, from my therapy session yesterday.
Right.
She told me about having a 2-minute mindfulness toilet break. You want to talk about your toilet breaks as well? You've got to love them.
Yeah, let's talk about the toilet breaks. Yeah.
So my therapist was telling me yesterday about meditation. Now, my meditation journey is up and down. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it, sometimes I'm not. More times often, actually, really, I'm not. Sometimes I think I need to sit down for a full 10-20 minutes with a full candlelit ceremony, but actually she was telling me you can just sit there for 1 minute. What she was explaining was like a toilet break. So if you're feeling quite overwhelmed, you can go into the toilet and you can do a mindfulness technique. Now, mindfulness is not about chanting or anything like that. It's literally just focusing on your breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and focusing on just one particular sound that you can hear. And that can be the hairdryer outside, or that can be the client gossiping in the corner. But actually just having some time to switch off and concentrating on one particular thing. Now, I'm sure when you come out after this 2-minute toilet break, you're going to think, guys, does everyone not realise how long I was in the toilet for? But I can assure you no one will care. And probably no one is going to bat an eyelid either. So if you find that you're having a bit of a moment, or you just need some time to yourself, set a 2-minute timer on your phone, go into the toilet, no one's going to bother you, and just have a more of a mindfulness moment. I'm yet to try this one, so this was just a tip that I was just taught about. So
I was actually genuinely doing that for quite a while when I was struggling. I also got loads of like little fake tea lights, do you remember? In my staff room. And if I was feeling overwhelmed, I would go in and I'd close the door and I'd light my little tea lights and I'd sit there and do like some nice breathing. Is underrated. We love breathing. It's very, very important.
Of course, it's what we do every minute of every day.
100%. And then the last thing I just wanted to cover is sort of mental health with your clients. I think I heard you talking about this on Dom's show. Was it Dom's show? Just around like...
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like taking on the energy of the other person. That's 100% something that I do. If my husband is like not even in a bad mood, if he's in a melancholy mood, I struggle to be happy. It's like I completely parallel him. And how do you do that? Because you managed to, I don't know, you managed to stay up.
Yeah, I do.
You do. Like,
I'm gonna go home and cry. No, I don't. I don't. I mean, there's a few different techniques that I've been taught in a mindfulness way. There's one that I really, really love to, which is called mindful showers, which is when your end of night shower, when you come home after a long shift, is just visualize the water. And it's hard to have a mindful shower because you're just so programmed to just get under here and get out. But actually, just to have that moment to stand under the water and feel the water coming down from your crown, running down your face, and just allowing the water to shake off your day. And also just to reclaim your energy from anything that you might have taken on, especially with those clients that can be quite draining as well. It's nice to have that moment just to wash it all off, not necessarily in a spiritual way, but just on an energetic way, to wash it all off and kind of reclaim yourself as well. I just spoke about as well, calling a girlfriend, letting it out, letting them know how it's going on.
I'm going to end on my favourite mental health tip, and I'm going to regret saying this because I don't really want people to know this.
Yeah.
This was by a friend of mine. She's called Samantha. She's not really on Instagram. She's not into social media. She changes her number all the time, and like she's really hard to get hold of. And also another friend of mine does this as well, Gina Harrison. I'm going to quote her. I said to her, well, how do you manage like you sort of like people messaging you and stuff, especially Gina, because Gina has a really big following and stuff like that. She's always getting messages and WhatsApp and all this stuff. And she was like, honestly, I just don't get back to people fast, and then they get used to the fact that I don't message them back. And it was such a great
tip, Gina.
It's so good, right? So of course my team, right, and things like that. And obviously if I'm enjoying engaging with people on social media and I'm enjoying that and having fun. But honestly, if someone just messages me like, I don't know, like what time is this, or what do you want to do that, or how are you doing, or whatever, I will take sometimes nearly 2 days to respond. But that's because I've got 15 other messages. Yeah. And actually, I'm not inclined to respond to you in that moment that you want me to respond. And I've actually started to get people used to the idea that I respond in my time when I'm ready. So getting my phone out and going, right, I've got 15 messages, boom, 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 and I'll get back to them when I feel like I'm even enjoying it, rather than trying to message people back and on the bus and and on the way here.
And this is one of the best free mental health tips I can ever share with you. It is to remove the blue tick option off your WhatsApp. So that's to see whether someone is able to see whether you've read their message. I've had it gone for about 3 years. The guy that I'm dating was like, I hate that you can't see that. But if you I don't know how you can do it, but it's somewhere on WhatsApp in the settings. But you can remove whether someone is able to actually see whether you have read their message or not. You can also do this on Instagram DMs, so it gets rid of those little eyes in the corner that says seen. and it makes it completely oblivious. But it also means you can't see their messages as well, but it takes away...
But you can't see their messages?
You can't see whether they've read it or not, but they can't see it from you.
Yeah, I mean, because there's an anxiety that you have to message people back.
Or they've read it and they've not replied. What have I done?
Yeah.
You know, so I've had it gone for years.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, they've seen my message, why haven't they responded? And then you get anxious on the other side.
And they're online. What are they doing? Not replying to me? God forbid.
We don't need to know that.
We don't need to know that. I think I might have given you a good tip there.
We don't need to know that, and we don't need to respond to people in that moment that they've decided.
Best thing I've ever done. Sometimes we can read the message, but not in the right frame of mind to reply straight away. Yes, thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned about, about that texting thing, because taking away those ticks has changed my life.
Especially with voice notes. Me and my friends, we voice note each other rather than call, and it can be like, well, they're podcasts. But my friend can voice note me, and I will just leave it there for like a day or 2 days, and I'll wait until I'm doing my makeup in the morning, and I'll play it. But I'm not going to try and wedge that into my day, because it just fills me with anxiety of shit, gotta do this, gotta do that, take all the colour off, do this, do this. Right, there is just one question. We're going to do one question, then we're going to call it a day on here.
We just done that one.
Oh, we've done that one. There was a question that popped up, actually, and I just saw it. How can I improve my mental health in terms of the people I work with? I feel like I'm not moulding with the girls, and they aren't trying, but I don't want to leave, as it's a really good salon opportunities. That sounds rubbish.
That sounds harsh.
Well, I didn't fit into my salon for quite a few years. And it was really, really lonely, so I completely feel you on that. I know this is really tough, but I would try and be super honest about it with them.
Elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room. Like, you just don't want to say it because it makes you feel vulnerable. If you say to someone, essentially what you're saying is, why don't you want to hang out with me, or why don't we bond?
Why don't you like me?
Why don't you like me? What a vulnerable question to ask. But it is actually the only way to the other side, because sometimes people don't even know.
They're not mind readers. And I think even just asking that question, maybe they're not even noticing. And they're like, really? Is that really how you felt? Or it opens up an even bigger conversation, and actually you can kind of get to the bottom of it.
Or makes people realise their behaviour in a way that you're not pointing the blame. So, you're not... Because eventually, if you don't get on, eventually you're going to have a fallout. This is going to get shitty.
Fester.
It'll fester.
Do you think the best idea is to, not in the conversation style? Because let's be honest, it will be so intimidating, that kind of conversation. Do you think it would be a lot easier to rather than say, you make me feel, you are doing this, do you think it's better to say, I feel, I found that I feel this way in the situation? Because then it's not really putting any blame on anyone else. It's just you talking about your experience, rather than saying, you have made me feel this certain way, you guys together don't include me, or whatever the situation is. Try and bring it back onto yourself, because then it's not going you.
Yes, completely agree with that, and that's what NVC is, the cards that I do. To add on that, if you do want to make it about you, as in this is how I feel, the line that I love, which is by Brene Brown, is the story that I'm telling myself is.
It's
such a good line.
Yeah.
So, I've noticed this, that I've done a lot of training on you say what you've noticed and not necessarily your interpretation of what that means. So, I've noticed that when you all go out, maybe I'm not with you, or I noticed that I'm maybe not part of your jokes. Like, these are observations. They are not blame. So it's quite different. And if you must talk about your interpretation, you literally say, the story I'm telling myself in my mind is that, you don't want to hang out with me, or something like that. And then it's really a finger blaming that people don't react very well to. So if you can remove that, it makes things a lot better.
Love that. Thanks for sharing.
I'll write that down. Yeah. Make sure that that's in a real letter.
That's a freebie right there, folks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this.
We've had a really, really fantastic time. In fact, Norman and I were just discussing, I've got a business course coming in next year, so January, February and March in Ireland, in Scotland, and I was going to say in Wales, in Ireland, Scotland and in the UK. No, it's late now. In Ireland, in Scotland and in England, and I was in two minds about whether you should come, whether it was relevant or not, but we just decided that after doing this live and after discussing it before we came on, that actually I think this conversation would be great
Yeah.
to have on the courses. So more in-depth knowledge of how to communicate better. So it's all very well me standing on stage telling people how to communicate better with their team, but maybe we just need to hear it from a team. And a team member that's been with me 6 years, who's been with me through all of the shit and all of the fabulousness that's come with it. So I think that's what we're going to do, isn't it?
See you guys there.
So we're going to be on there. If you want to hear any more about it, just click the link in my bio. I just want to say thank you so much for Crazy Colour. It was Crazy Colour that asked us to do this. It's Crazy Colour that wanted to focus on mental health. And we love you.
Thank you for tuning in. Have a
Bye,
good evening.
everybody.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. I'm going to pull this off.
Top right.
Thanks, Norman.
That's okay. See ya.
And now.